It wasn't necessary. I guess we wanted to. Actually, it was mixed. Everyone's here, but I don't know who wants to. He didn't need to shout, stand out, wear flamboyant attire, twirl drumsticks, or destroy guitars to be remembered. However, Izzy Stradlin's soul has been heard if Sweet Child of Mine has silenced you, Patience has captivated you, or Welcome to the Jungle has energized you. Standing silently stage left, Izzy wrote most of Guns N' Roses' hits. Slash is remembered for his top hat and wild curls, and Axl Rose for his piercing screams and crazy spins. A once unstoppable band relied on him as a lyricist and guitarist. What caused him leave just when Guns N' Roses were taking over the world? Why did Izzy disappear, reject every reunion invitation, avoid the media, and live in seclusion? Can someone who caused an aircraft controversy, was addicted, and witnessed his comrades fail stay out of the game and still be musical? This is the story of peaceful Izzy Stradlin in the storm. It may leave you silent and awestruck, not screaming. Early life. Jeffrey Dean Isbell was born in Lafayette, Indiana, a little town with just beer, motorbikes, and the suffocating air of America's post-war working class, on April 8, 1962. The future Izzy Stradlin was raised in a troubled home. Early in life, his parents divorced. Izzy, who lived with his mother, a school accounting secretary, learned early on to feel left behind. Izzy was quiet and observant, unlike the noisy kids surrounding him. But he was an emotional pressure cooker ready to erupt if given the chance. For Izzy, Elvis Presley was a childhood highlight. He recalled witnessing Elvis's funeral on a black and white TV and realizing for the first time that music could stop the world. That moment sowed a peculiar seed to leave Lafayette, live for music, and never look back. Izzy was average in school. He played drums in the school band, but was more known for mischief than grades. He got suspended, joined illegal street races, and ran from the police, the typical Midwest rebel youngster. However, his rebellion made him quieter. No shouting, no grandstanding, just a quiet, relentless want to escape. A disastrous friendship followed. William Bailey, who became Axl Rose. They attended Jefferson High, listened to Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, and Elton John, fantasized under graffiti-covered walls, and shared cheap drinks after class. Axl was the only one who wasn't terrified by Izzy's claim that he was the craziest in town. Izzy was wildened by Axl's chaos, and vice versa. Young Izzy had a catastrophic motorcycle accident at 17. The crash hurt him significantly, keeping him hospitalized for weeks. While resting in that hospital bed, he thought about life, pals in jail, and a hopeless hometown. His decision came then. He needed to go. Izzy Stradlin left Indiana for Los Angeles with a guitar, a few $100s, and a hunger. He only knew the city from movies and music. He had no strategy or contacts, but he had one firm belief. Being in Lafayette would kill him slowly. Like his father, who left him as a child. From the start, Izzy's life wasn't tragic. Even though no one heard it, it was a low, continuous growl from someone who refused to drown. Early career. Izzy Stradlin arrived in Los Angeles in the early 1980s with a guitar, a few worn-out clothing, and a goal to perform rock till he died. Angels didn't welcome nobody like him. We slept on friends' floors, worked odd jobs at mechanic shops, and survived on bread and cheap beer for weeks. Entry cost for someone with no family, celebrity, or ambitions other than music. LA was a place where anything could start if you were patient and knew when to scream. Izzy played in garage bands like Naughty Women and the Atoms, but they failed. Things took off after he joined Hollywood Rose, led by Axl Rose. On the rough Sunset Strip, where rock and roll meant survival, their Lafayette youthful camaraderie returned. Hollywood Rose collapsed due to personality clashes, but Izzy persisted. They established Guns N' Roses in 1985 with Axl, guitarist Slash, bassist Duff McKagan, and drummer Steven Adler. Nobody expected them to write hard rock classics from a roach-infested West Hollywood apartment with mold on the walls, guitars on coat hooks, and a crash pad in the living room. Izzy was the quietest band member, but wrote the most. The opening riff of Paradise City, Patience's painful tempo, and Night Rain's growling start were his. Guns N' Roses may not have survived its early turbulence without Izzy. Izzy was the only one that arrived on time, performed songs, and stopped the band from exploding when Slash and Adler were high and Axl wasn't yet stage savvy. Though not brilliant, he could fit each crazy together. He gave Axl's scream structure, Slash's solos groove, and the band a unique dirty rock sound. Izzy said, "I write to say something, and playing guitar helps me survive." He never had to be the star of Guns N' Roses. He let music talk. They released their debut album, Appetite for Destruction in 1987 after nearly 2 years of grinding in small clubs. The world heard gunfire from backstage where Izzy stood, eyes lowered to his guitar, quietly starting a global uprising. Success, controversy. Rock fans were acclimated to glam metal's teased hair, tight leather leggings, and vacuous love ballads by 1987. Desire for Destruction followed. Raw, wild, rough, as Guns N' Roses did in LA. Not merely a success record, a riot. It was a manifesto for a generation fed up with phony beauty and seeking something raw. That riot wasn't all about Axl Rose. It wasn't Slash. The musical foundation of Immortal was laid by Izzy Stradlin. Izzy's riff started Paradise City, wrote Patience's heartbreaking melody and Sweet Child of Mine with Slash. He influenced lyrics like Mr. Brownstone, which mocked drug addiction. He stood stage left, never ripped solos or yelled into the mic, but he kept Guns N' Roses on track. Over 30 million copies of Appetite for Destruction sold when it topped the Billboard charts. The best-selling American rock debut album. Izzy Stradlin was quiet as Guns N' Roses became the largest band in the world, playing stadiums worldwide, hitting Rolling Stone covers, winning MTV awards, and performing at the American Music Awards. Izzy couldn't hide the toxic ecosystem underneath the art explosion. Guns N' Roses were a rock powerhouse and time bomb by 1988. Axl Rose was always late to gigs, yelled at staff members, and demanded band control. Slash and Steven Adler were too high to finish rehearsals. Izzy, however silent, fell into the same spiral. Meth, cocaine, and heroin were as common as water. He described visualizing maggots crawling in a screw drawer, a low point that made him understand he was dying. The scandal followed. Izzy was arrested in August 1989 for peeing on a plane floor, smoking in the cabin, and assaulting flight attendants on an Indianapolis-Los Angeles flight. After the plane made an emergency landing in Phoenix, he was handcuffed and hauled off in front of hundreds of irate passengers. His punishment was 1 year of probation, regular drug testing, and a written apology to the crew. It made good media headlines. A wake-up call for Izzy. He returned to Indiana, left the spotlight, and quit drugs, something no other Guns N' Roses member had done. No luxurious rehab, no PR. He only wanted to live. Who wanted clarity, and when he returned, the band had changed. Izzy was clean, but others weren't. Slash was still addicted. After becoming increasingly autocratic, Axl regularly made the band and tens of thousands of fans wait hours before gigs. Worse, Izzy lost his voice in the band he helped form. Axl Rose required new contracts from the band throughout Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 recording. Guns N' Roses would be his, and royalties would be shared. Despite writing songs, Izzy was pressured to negotiate a deal with a reduced cut. He refused, and no one supported him. Mounted tension. Worse, the band was set to start their biggest tour. But Izzy, the only sober one in the mayhem, felt like a stranger in his own band. Nobody was on time, no one kept promises, and no one cared if it all came apart. He faxed Axl Rose. Simple. No drama. A single line. No more. Izzy Stradlin left Guns N' Roses in November 1991, when they were at their peak. He left without a news conference or harsh farewell, like someone who knew he was no longer welcome. The band's new guitarist, Gilby Clarke, was excellent but couldn't replace Izzy's quiet soul. The albums that followed lacked raw danger and characteristic riff structures, and committed fans knew it. GNR lost their silence. Career alone. Izzy Stradlin quit Guns N' Roses in late 1991 without a press conference, protracted interviews, or harsh speeches like many rockers do. Suddenly he disappeared. Slash and Axl toured before hundreds of thousands, but Izzy went home, wrote songs, and started a new chapter. No stress, stage, or contract deadlines. Just him and his guitar. He founded Izzy Stradlin and the Juju Hounds, a tiny, independent band, in 1992. Their self-titled debut album, released later that year, was a radical departure from Guns N' Roses, featuring roots rock, blues, and reggae. The snarling riffs were replaced with raw, classic melodies, like Neil Young meeting Keith Richards in a Georgia bar. The surprise? Loved by critics. Rolling Stone, Kerrang, and other independent rock journals called the record mature, honest, and unafraid of being remembered without dazzle. Izzy's song Shuffle It All was a little hit in Europe and Japan, where she still maintains a loyal following. Izzy vanished again just as people anticipated he would tour the world. From the mid-1990s to 2010, Izzy Stradlin released over 10 self-recorded solo albums, most of which were limited or iTunes only. One Thing United 117 Degrees, Ride On, River, On Down the Road, Fire, The Acoustic Album, 2007, and Wave of Heat, 2010. They didn't want to shout, just existed. Sometimes just a song, riff, whispered lyric like a journal entry, no music videos, marketing campaigns, or extensive tours. For Izzy, music wasn't product. It was lifestyle. He didn't write for praise. He had to write to avoid going nuts. Many of his solo songs have the Guns N' Roses essence, not in sound but in attitude. Urgent, low-key, and raw. Izzy recounted his loneliness, disillusionment with American rock and roll, and desire for personal freedom in an overburdened society. Izzy remained close to his history despite his reclusiveness. He replaced Gilby Clarke for a few Guns N' Roses gigs in 1993. His 2006 and 2012 performances with Slash and Axl shocked fans and hinted at a full reunion. But he silently disappeared again. Personal life and gossip. Once, the world's biggest band relied on Izzy Stradlin. After leaving Guns N' Roses in late 1991, he steadily faded from stardom. No parties, red carpets, talk shows, or controversies since then, and only speculations remain about him. Although living privately, Izzy never totally cut connections with his past. Izzy suddenly returned to Guns N' Roses stage for several European gigs in 1993 after Gilby Clarke's motorcycle accident. Announcement and press release absent. He entered the stage, plugged in his guitar, played like he'd never left, and then quietly exited. He surprised fans again by performing with Axl and Slash in 2006 and 2012. Fans erupted when blurry fans' hot videos showed Izzy standing stage left as before. While media speculated about an official reunion, nothing materialized. He disappeared after a few shows. Izzy didn't join Guns N' Roses' 2016 Not in This Lifetime reunion tour. The fans were shocked. Rumors spread. A single tweet from Izzy Stradlin 999 hushed the noise. The band refused equal payment. Simple as that. In late 1991, Izzy Stradlin left Guns N' Roses, the world's largest band, and progressively faded from fame. There have been no parties, red carpets, talk shows, or scandals since then, and all people know about him is rumors. Although living privately, Izzy never totally cut connections with his past. Izzy suddenly returned to Guns N' Roses stage for several European gigs in 1993 after Gilby Clarke's motorcycle accident. Announcement and press release absent. He entered the stage, plugged in his guitar, played like he'd never left, and then disappeared. He surprised fans again by performing with Axl and Slash in 2006 and 2012. Blurry fans' hot videos showed Izzy standing stage left like before, and fans shouted. No official reunion was announced despite media speculation. He disappeared after a few shows. Izzy didn't join Guns N' Roses' 2016 Not in This Lifetime reunion tour. The fans were shocked. Rumors spread. One tweet from @Izzy Stradlin 999 hushed the noise. The band refused equal payment. Simple as that. Izzy Stradlin, unlike many rock legends, has never married, had children, or left a legacy. His old industry friends characterize him as brilliant, forthright, and charming, but he never allows anyone get too close. Izzy chose to stay single while Slash married and divorced, and Axl had multiple high-profile, problematic romances. No tabloid scandals, hotel scandals, or secret girlfriend paparazzi photos. For Izzy, solitude isn't scary. It's optional. Radio interview. Slash was asked about Izzy. He chuckled. Izzy doesn't need a stage. He only needs a guitar and empty road. I sometimes envy that. Ultimately, Izzy Stradlin never left. He didn't need to be there when the lights came on. The one in the darkness occasionally keeps the light alive. Influence and legacy. If Guns N' Roses was an explosion, Izzy Stradlin was the silent gunpowder operator. Unlike Slash and Axl, he wasn't the band's face, blazing guitar player, or piercing vocalist. But true music lovers know that Izzy was the band's backbone, shaping its sound and attitude. Izzy co-wrote 9 of the 12 songs on Appetite for Destruction, which transformed American rock. Hits like Welcome to the Jungle, Night Rain, Mr. Brownstone, Paradise City, and Sweet Child of Mine bear his riffs, lyrics, and song structures. Use Your Illusion, 1 and 2 has more solo songs by Izzy than anyone else save Axl Rose, including You Could Be Mine, Pretty Tied Up, Dust and Bones, and Double Talk and Jive. His gritty groove, dry humor, and dark, cynical undertone gave each song a unique sound that no one else in the band could match. After he left, Guns N' Roses persisted, but without balance. Rawness disappeared. Later tracks were flashy and overproduced, lacking Izzy's streetwise edge and innate grit. Izzy avoided flamboyant technique. He didn't solo long. He didn't over-affect his instrument. His rhythm guitar connected the vocals to the drums and rendered the band's turmoil human and real in every song. I Can Burn, Axel can scream, stated Slash. We would have tumbled off the cliff long ago without Izzy's rhythm. In a rock world where everyone competes for attention, Izzy chose to retain the groove, earning respect. Even in isolation, Izzy has influenced generations of performers, from Velvet Revolver and Buck Cherry to the Strokes and Arctic Monkeys, by keeping rock sharp, lean, and soulful. Critics call him post-punk Keith Richards, a punk-inspired blues player who writes like a nobody in a dive bar but resonates worldwide. Most importantly, Izzy embodied the artist who doesn't need fame to survive. In a business dominated by image, social media, and spectacle, Izzy represents honesty in his art and life. No museum wax statue or hundreds of millions of YouTube views belong to Izzy Stradlin. He's still there as a shadow, an echo, when patience plays in a silent night or when dust and bones cut through a rock bar's haze. True music lovers will always be grateful he wrote something irreplaceable. Izzy Stradlin never wanted iconic status. He didn't demand fame or recognition. He played guitar, penned songs, and left when drugs, fame, and injustice swallowed the music he could no longer control. From Guns N' Roses to his solo career, red carpets to nameless rooms, Izzy believed in never doing anything wrong. Artists frequently trade their identities for praise, but he opted to live so he could keep composing even if no one was listening. Because of that, he is never forgotten. He doesn't need to speak at award events, perform old hits to keep followers, or share his life narrative online. Izzy Stradlin's legacy lives on in every riff that plays when Patience, Dust and Bones, or You Could Be Mine is played again, not tour images. In rock and roll, where everything is louder, Izzy Stradlin proves that silence may be stronger than loudness.